Question: when is the last time that you thought to yourself, I love TikTok or Twitter or Instagram and it loves me back? Yeah, me neither. If you've been feeling some anti-platform hostility recently, you're not the only one. Now, obviously, mocking Facebook for descending into minion-filled boomer memes has become cliche. But in recent years, there's been tons of media analysis about how each platform, from Instagram to YouTube to Snapchat to more recently Twitter and Twitch and TikTok, have all gotten kind of crappy. And when Twitter won't stop recommending Nazi-adjacent accounts, or TikTok is freely sharing data on your love of hedgehogs, or your favorite streamers threaten to leave Twitch, it's easy to wonder if it's just time to pull a digital Irish exit. But for many of us, self included, social media isn't just a solid way to waste time. It's a way to make new online-only friends or build communities. So how did your favorite friendships get held hostage by the likes of Elon Musk? And what does this conundrum say about contemporary society? Well, let's find out in this Wisecrack Edition: is the age of online friendship over? It all boils down to the question: what do we do when our friendships are mediated via online platforms that are just getting shittier and sketchier? Well, let's start by looking at why every social media platform seems to go to the dogs just as it's reaching peak popularity. Journalist Cory Doctorow offers an easy catchphrase for this effect: enshittification. Yeah, I really said that. Enshittification, like they're getting. It's a fun word. It's a fun word. Like, he invented a word, so good for him. Now, the way he describes it, every platform, including social media platforms, goes through the exact same life cycle. First, they are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. Then they die. So let's unpack this. In the first phase, Doctorow writes the platform needs users, so it makes itself valuable to users. Take Facebook, which had to seduce users off MySpace. And to do so, it offered things like the news feed, which aggregated everything you actually wanted to see from your network. It was legitimately valuable and free, as Doctorow explains in an interview. And so that's the first stage. We're not spying on you. We're showing you the things that the people you like are saying. The second phase, once the platform is going strong, is that it starts to leverage its user growth to attract business customers, like advertisers or publishers. Doctorow explains, and so to the advertisers they say, remember when we told our users that we were never going to spy on them? We changed our mind. We've actually got a ton of surveillance data on them, and we will let you use that really cheaply. Then to the media companies, Facebook offers a funnel to drive traffic to your own website via media posts and links with excerpts. Suddenly you, the user's newsfeed, starts being populated with ads and media posts you never asked for. And Facebook stands to just make a butt ton of profit from your eyeballs. So Doctorow surmises, step 2, we're going to be good to our business customers at the expense of the users, of course. Then stage 3, you turn the screws on your business partners. Facebook starts showing publishers content less frequently unless they post more content, especially content that can be consumed entirely on Facebook. Think of the infamously catastrophic pivot to video that so many media companies attempted around 2015 after Facebook claimed it averaged more than 1 billion views per day. To be clear, this is the thing that Wisecrack tried. I don't know if there's still some videos we made out there. We made a couple shows for Facebook. There's like one I thought was pretty dumb and one I thought was pretty good. I don't know if they're still there. You can try to find them and see if you know which one I think was dumb and which one you think was good. Who knows? Advertisers were eager to get in on it, so publishers invested heavily in video. By 2016, Facebook admitted it had inflated the watch time to advertisers by 60 to 80%, and many media outlets that had faithfully followed the money went kaput. At the time, media critic John Herman argued that Facebook had purposefully cannibalized contemporary media, writing that Facebook is more interested in hosting the things media companies make than just spreading them, that it views links to outside pages as a problem to be solved. Going forward, publishers had to create content that lived entirely on Facebook, and then pay to have that content boosted. At the same time, advertisers were getting screwed in a myriad of ways, including Jedi Blue, an agreement between Facebook and Google that artificially gave Facebook better deals on ads, or as Doctorow puts it, they agreed to charge advertisers more, pay publishers less, and pocket the difference. You know, classic Jedi stuff. The sort of stuff that the Jedis do in Star Wars. Advertising, publishing, pocketing the difference. Normal things that Jedis do. So here's the problem as Doctorow sees it. They've made this bad deal for users. They made this bad deal for advertisers who made this bad deal for publishers, but they tried to leave enough goodies in the system that users don't leave, advertisers don't leave, and publishers don't leave. In fact, unless a compelling competitor comes along, Facebook has a monopoly over a lot of online business and over people's online lives. That means if you want to be a part of a group for chronically ill folks, or an activist community, or an I need to sneeze and it's gone community, you're forced to accept shitty ads, annoying videos, and now well-documented surveillance every time you engage. And the bigger the platform grows, the more power it has over users and business partners to dictate the terms of the ecosystem, and thus the terms of our digital friendships. Now, to contextualize the significance of online friendship, it helps to very briefly think about how we got here. Flashback to 1999, when I figured out how to plug my dad's work laptop into a phone line and log on to the magical internet. And it wasn't just acne-faced Michael cruising AOL chat rooms, as online traffic in the US was set to grow more than 1,000% over 4 years. Guys, the early days of AOL chat rooms, I know I've talked about it before, really a Wild West situation. Fun yet terrifying, and I probably just talked to so many criminals. The rise of blogging and personal homepages had recently given way to nascent social media sites like 6 Degrees, which I'll be honest, I never heard of and didn't know existed until we wrote this script. These sites multiplied in the early 2000s, and by 2006, then thriving MySpace had 100 million users, though it would be overtaken by Facebook by early 2009, thanks in part to the popular news feed. By 2012, Facebook had fostered 125 billion friendships. Now, while all this was happening, Twitter started connecting you to the entire world rather than basing your network around an existing community, and most new social platforms would follow that model. Professor and game designer Ian Bogost argues that while social networking as initially envisioned was primarily about building connections, social media as we know it today, beginning with the launch of Twitter, is primarily about using diffuse connections to facilitate the flow of content. As platforms for connecting and exchanging information in every conceivable way it proliferated, scholars took note of their real-world implications. By 2008, scholar David Beer argued that as social networking sites became mundane, the version of friendship they offered begins to remediate and shape understandings of friendship more generally. This was most true for young people, who are inherently more likely to seek out peer connection and also more tech adept from growing up online. Indeed, while connecting with others online used to be the sole terrain of tech-savvy hobbyists, by 2015, 57% of teens said they had made new friends online, with a full 29% saying they'd made more than 5. Now, we couldn't find contemporaneous numbers for 2023, but I don't know, it feels pretty fair to assume that those stats are now much higher. And a slew of new research about adults confirms what many of us know intuitively. It's become increasingly common to make friends online, whether through social media or gaming, and to have those friendships convert into in-person interactions. Though a lot of the surveys we found have been done by companies like Bumble, who's hosting this, and World of Warships, so take them with whatever grain of salt you find appropriate. Now, hilariously and somewhat irrelevantly, a new study even shows that parrots can similarly form strong social relationships over Facebook video that actually improve their health. And as someone who is deeply worried about the health of parrots, this fact really hits home with me. I'm glad the parrots are healthy via their video chats. Actually, you know what? I've said it before, I'll say it again. Birds. Changes in how we make and maintain friends has real ramifications. Scholar Paul Byron argues that social media use has expanded friendships' practices, meanings, and dimensions by offering new experiments in sharing, supporting, and feeling supported through single acts of disclosure to one's broad networks. Think about it. Before social media, there was no way to instantly tell all your closest friends you were depressed and hopefully get a pile-on of love and care. Now, Byron argues that this has real implications, as broader social networks have become more accessible when we require attention, support, validation, and care. Indeed, Byron's research has found that young people report receiving more mental health support online than from families, schools, and professional healthcare settings. And this was especially true for queer youth. As youth culture and technology expert Dana Boyd notes, friending someone on social media is akin to community building and can help facilitate conversations that might be harder to have in the meat world, especially for marginalized groups. Byron writes that for many, the social burdens of being part of a marginalized group are tempered through a sense of solidarity and shared struggle. This This solidarity has been generative of identities, political strategies, and social policy reform. Such solidarities are as intimate as they are political. While online relationships are often dismissed as less meaningful because someone might be lying or misrepresenting themselves, scholar Nancy Baim notes that the paucity or lack of personal and social identity cues can also make people feel safer and thus create an environment in which they are more honest. Yeah, I don't know about you, I feel like I probably lie more in life and am more honest online. And there was a discussion in my family. This is a real thing, guys. There was a discussion in my family about how I was being too honest and reckless on Twitter. And to that I say, don't follow me. That is to say, sometimes anonymity is really when the walls come down. Studies have borne out the value of engaging with new and existing digital friendships, though their findings are mixed as to how much they can supplement in-person relationships. A 2016 study found that for young people, online interactions with friends are equally as potent in buffering against emotional distress. Concurring studies of adults, especially those middle-aged and older, have concluded that online interactions with friends protect against loneliness, offer companionship, and are associated with higher psychosocial satisfaction. One 2004 study even found that once online friendships last for more than a year, their quality becomes comparable to offline friendships. Furthermore, online friendship may be particularly potent in this moment, when we have what sociologists are calling a friendship crisis, where most American adults have only one or two close friends, which we talk about in a recent video. My two close friends are named Bear and Philip. If you too have two close adult friends, feel free to just name them in the comments. Say, let's appreciate them. Let's shout out our friends. Maybe they'll see it and they'll be like, oh, that's really nice. Or they'll see it and be like, oh, I don't consider you one of my best friends. And at least you'll know. Now that we have a bit more context, let's look at the interaction between online friendships and enshittification. Because while you probably aren't worried about Facebook, Dr. O sees it as an inevitable process in what Nick Siernick calls platform capitalism, i.e. an economy where the largest companies are all platforms for socializing, advertising, shopping, etc. The thing is, we've come to accept platform capitalism in many areas of our lives. Most of us may never own a movie or TV show or album again. The economics of streaming might simply make more sense. But social media has different stakes because increasingly we no longer have autonomy over our social lives and our friendships, which are increasingly online. That's why the shift from social networking based around connections to social media based around circulation of content has made it harder for online communities to feel cohesive. As Bogost writes, the whole idea of social networks was networking, building or deepening relationships, mostly with people you knew. How and why that deepening happened was largely left to the users to decide. But for platforms, of course, deeper relationships aren't as profitable as advertising-friendly content. In the early 2000s, there was a popular belief amongst scholars in digital dualism, i.e. the idea that there was a sharp differentiation between online and offline life. But Nathan Jurgensen, sociologist and researcher for Snapchat, argues that this no longer applies, saying what you do online and what you do face-to-face are completely interwoven. And that's what makes enshittification, which affects every platform from Amazon to Spotify to Uber to Netflix to Twitch, so catastrophic. Because when Uber gets shitty, we have to pay more for a car or take public transit. But when Twitter gets shitty, we're either compelled to say goodbye to online friends or just deal with it. As journalist Aya Romano writes for Vox, this has real-world consequences for many communities. She laments Musk's efforts to make Twitter extremely hardcore, which has resulted in chaotic feeds, unreliable service, and again, lots of Nazi going viral. She writes, if Twitter really collapses, whole communities will be uprooted and displaced. Subcultures like fandoms, kink communities, sex workers and educators, and queer and trans spaces rely heavily on the freedom of pseudonymity on Twitter. But that also makes it harder to reunite with all your pseudonymous friends across platforms. Now, it's worth taking a step back to think about the purpose of friendship. For Michel Foucault, friendship was a way of life. As Byron summarizes, a creative practice that carries the potential to generate new forms of intimacy. Because friendships aren't inscribed by institutions like the nuclear family or marriage or office jobs, Byron furthers they offer freedoms and creative potential. Scholar Todd May has even argued that true friendship can undercut neoliberalism by refusing the economic logic that underpins most human relationships under its theory. We already mentioned how the mere existence of online friendships has changed what friendship can offer us. Many people argue that the public-facing nature of a lot of online interaction devalues the supposedly private nature of what friendship is supposed to be. But for Byron, it offers something new. He writes, much support offered on social media is also publicly given and on the record, disrupting notions of friendship as private dyadic interactions. This signals the need to consider friendship not simply as a relationship, but as practice. One that is witnessed, celebrated, learned from, and adopted among countless digital networks between individuals and among groups. Watching your friends or an activist you admire or a gamer you love interact with friends and communities on social media can help you think about new ways of being, of thinking about yourself and others, of interacting with the world. This creative potential of friendship, what scholar Tom Roach calls the anti-institutional nature of friendship, means that it's a constantly evolving practice. And much of that evolution is taking place online. Foucault wrote that we live in a relational world that institutions have considerably impoverished, but argued that friendship had escaped regulation and surveillance afforded to relationships like those between a parent and child or with a spouse. But in the social media age, the institution of the platform is arguably impoverishing friendship. So friendship has the most subversive potential of any kind of relationship. But our friendships are mostly taking place on private platforms, under the constant interruption of ads, while we're all being mined for data, and the owners are increasingly making these spaces horrible places to be. So what the is gonna happen with our valuable digital relationships? Well, if you were waiting for a solution at the end of this one, we got nothing, so sorry to let you down. We have no idea how to square the circle of platforms that help us make meaningful connections with others while also being focused solely on data extraction and the creation of surplus capital. Maybe some Silicon Valley do-gooder will finally develop the perfect demonetized platform where all of us can socially flourish. Or maybe we'll soon be forced to choose between participating in shitty and toxic platforms or maintaining digital friendships. Now, we're hoping for the do-gooder option, but guys, we're not gonna hold our breath. But what do you all think? Is online friendship over? Or are our bonds strong enough to survive enshittification? Thank you so much to all of our patrons for supporting our channel and helping us build a little bit of an alternative community. It means a lot. If you do join our Patreon, you get to be on our Discord server. You get videos early without ads, extra audio and video content. And most importantly, you're supporting the channel and it really helps us. But thanks to all of you for supporting us by, watching these videos, by liking, subscribing, clicking, commenting, sharing with people you think might like our videos. It really means a lot. And we really appreciate a lot of your comments and the way that everyone is contributing to the discussion in recent videos. It's been very fun to watch and be a part of. So thank you for that. In the meantime, friendship, what a gift. And we'll see you later. Question: when's the last time you thought my voice cracked? I'm 13 and my body's changing. Okay.